If you clicked this video, that means you probably played Mario Kart before. It's one of Nintendo's best-selling games just because of how simple it is. All you do is press A to drive and try to beat everyone else. However, if you press B, you pop it in reverse and you can drive in the other direction. So this got me wondering, can you beat Mario Kart while only driving backwards? For this challenge, the rules are simple. You have to either be driving in reverse with the B button, or if you're on a regular track, you can turn around and drive the other way, because technically you're still driving backwards. However, if you're on a battle mode track, you have to be pressing B to drive in reverse, because those are not designed for one direction. Items that push you in a direction like mushrooms and bullet bills are allowed because you're not pressing the A button, so technically you're not driving forward. Also, because you can't use mushrooms in reverse, you have to turn around to use them. The amount of time it takes to turn around to use the mushrooms just isn't worth the distance you get from using the mushroom. You can use other items like bombs and shells normally as long as you don't drive forward, and those are the rules. Also, I'm playing Mario Kart DS because it has a mission mode where in each world you complete 8 levels and then defeat a boss. This kinda gives me a way to progress through the game. So for World 1, we could start off with 1-1. Drive through all 5 numbered gates in order. This can't be that hard, right? Oh my God. So as you might have guessed, when you drive backwards you're a lot slower than when you drive forward, making this challenge way more difficult than just playing normally. We can come back to this one. For 1-2, collect all 15 coins. Took a few tries, but eventually I got it backwards. For 1-3, destroy all 10 item boxes. You can just turn around and drive in the other direction. See, it's not cheating because the arrows are pointing the other way. 1-4 is another case where the arrows are pointing in the other direction, but you can also just do this one in reverse. 1-5, drive through all 6 numbered gates in order. Easy peasy, got this one on my second try. We can easily get 1-6 out of the way because, well, yeah. 1-7 is possible, you just can't waste a single second on that one or else you just won't have enough time to finish the level. 1-8, perform 4 power slide, turbo boost in 1 lap. This challenge might be impossible. So you can't drift while backing up, which means the only way you might be able to beat this level is if you turn around and drift going backwards and then reverse all the way around the lap. And you only have 45 seconds to do all of that. So I guess that means we have to find out how many levels you can beat while driving backwards. So we know 1-8 is impossible, and I think 1-1 is also impossible because I was only able to get through 4 of the 5 gates. So that means for World 1, 6 of the 8 levels you can beat driving backwards. Not bad, but we still have to beat the boss stage for World 1. For this level you have to use the mushrooms to crash into the big bully and then knock him off the stage. This is pretty easy, you just back into the item box and then use the mushroom to crash into him. Mission complete. Now on to World 2. For 2-1, the arrows are pointing in the other direction, so we're already driving backwards. 2-2 is pretty easy, just back into the coins. 2-3 is impossible because you need to use the mushrooms to get through the gates in time, and you just don't have enough time to back into them. I think 2-4 is also impossible because you just don't drive backwards fast enough to get all the item boxes in time. 2-5 is also impossible because you have to go over a dash panel to collect all the coins, and whenever you go over the dash panel this happens. This is getting pretty depressing. Thankfully 2-6 is easy, you just back into the item boxes and throw the bombs at the pokies. 2-7 and 2-8 are also impossible because in 2-7 you have to go over dash panels, and for 2-8 you need to be able to drift. Wow, this is sad. At least the boss is possible, you just have to throw the shell at the Irok's eye 3 times. So for World 2, 4 of the 9 levels are possible. At this point I was deciding whether or not I wanted to try and finish this challenge or just end the video here. This video was just not going the way I wanted it to. I was hoping that I could just play the game backwards and then get 10 bajillion views, and that's just not what was happening. But in the end I decided to keep going and I started World 3. 3-1 is difficult, but it's still possible. You just have to hit the item boxes. 3-2 was designed to be done backwards, so it was easy. 3-3 also pretty easy, just don't get hit by the chain challenge. 3-4 is the first impossible level of the world because you have to race Yoshi. And Yoshi is a bitch. 3-5 is easy, just back into the gates and don't forget to turn around whenever the pipes spit you out. 3-6 is kind of a pain, but it's still possible, you just have to hit the Monty moles with the shells. 3-7 you might think's impossible, however as long as you stay driving on the wrong side of the road, technically it's possible. 3-8 I was really hoping it would be possible, but I just don't think you get enough time to complete this level. And then for the World 3 boss. Yeah, that's not happening. So for World 3, we were able to complete 6 out of the 9 levels. Nice. Now that we're halfway through the game, we can start World 4. 4-1 you can beat because you're racing on the track backwards. 4-2 is possible, you're just hitting crabs with shells. 4-3 is just like 3-7. It's possible, you just have to drive on the wrong side of the road. 4-4 is impossible, you just don't get enough time to beat the level while driving backwards. 4-5 is pretty easy, just don't get hit by the forms. 4-6 is possible, you just have to be frame perfect. It took me about 12 minutes to finish this level, and I did it with 0.383 seconds left on the timer. 4-7 is possible, you just have to do the first half normally, and then when you get to the top, you have to do the rest in reverse. It's possible, but you have to be quick. 4-8 is impossible because you can't drift while in reverse. Now for the boss. Unfortunately, this one might be possible, but I wasn't able to do it. During this level, King Boo will steal all the coins that you get, and the only way to beat this level is to crash into him and steal all your coins back. However, whenever you crash into him while driving in reverse, he just won't drop the coins. So for now, this one's impossible. For World 4, we were able to beat 6 out of the 9 levels. Nice. Now on to World 5. World 5 is the worst one yet. 5-1, 5-3, 5-4, 5-6, and 5-8 are all impossible. 5-1's impossible because you can't outrun the chain chomp in reverse. 5-4 is impossible because you don't have enough time to get through all the gates. 5-6 is impossible because you can't go over the frosting in the middle while driving backwards. And 5-8's impossible because you have to race Mario. 5-3 might be possible, but I wasn't able to do it. The only levels we could do were 5-2, 5-5, and 5-7. 5-2 is easy, you just drive backwards and collect the coins. 5-5 is possible because the challenge is to complete one lap in the opposite direction. And that's just a funny way of saying driving backwards. And 5-7 is only possible because you're driving backwards on the track. The only levels where you're driving in reverse is 5-2, and that's because there's no other way to complete that level. At least the boss is easy, right? Yeah, it was pretty easy. For World 5, we were able to beat 4 out of the 9 levels. Hopefully World 6 will be nicer. 6-1's off to a great start. You just drive backwards on the spinning thing. Easy. 6-2 is not as easy, but it's still possible. You just run over the rocky wrenches with the star. 6-3, easy. Just turn around and go. 6-4 might be possible, but I wasn't able to get it. I think for these item box levels, you could probably just memorize the paths that they go down and find the optimal places to stay at, but for now it's impossible. For 6-5, you have to use the mushroom to jump over the ramp and get through gates, and that just ends up taking too much time. 6-6 is impossible because you can't drift in reverse. 6-7 is also impossible because there's a coin on top of the dash panel and you just can't reach it. And 6-8 is possible because you're racing in the opposite direction. And now, it's time for the final boss of the game. After all this struggle, all this effort, and goddamn 22 unbeatable levels, it's finally time for the World 6 boss. Yeah, it's the exact same as the first boss, you just have to do it 3 times. And we beat the game right there, that's the credits. So, can you beat Mario Kart DS while only driving backwards? No. Throughout all 48 levels and 6 bosses in this game, we were able to beat 28 levels and 4 of the bosses backwards. That's 59% of the game. But I feel like one day we might be able to beat a lot more of these levels backwards. Like if someone figures out how to drift in reverse, that's another 4 levels that we could beat. And also the item box levels that I wasn't able to beat could totally be possible. This was the first time I played Mario Kart DS since I was in like elementary school, so if you have any ideas about how I could beat some of these levels backwards, make sure to let me know in the comments, and if enough people want it, I might make a part 2. Also, I plan on making a video about Rhythm Heaven, so if you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe. Okay, thanks for watching, bye.